Welcome back, everyone, to the fifth episode of the Tundra cast. Once again, we got Coral, we got Bruh, and for the first time, we got Mr. Guidi.
Just Gweeds, man. Just
Yeah,
Gweeds.
Guides. And like the previous episodes, we're going to go over our overrated and underrated players, this time for the Atlantic Division. And I guess we can get started right away with Boston. So once again, let's start with our underrated picks. For me, I got Brendan Carlo, and I mean, this is a guy that he's become a solid top four defensive defenseman for Boston. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of ice time because back then they had guys like Krug, McAvoy, Chara taking up the first two pairing spots, and he was basically stuck on the third pairing, but. I mean, he was pretty solid. He actually had more takeaways and giveaways in every single year, which is nice to see. At 20 points in 67 games. Um, his defensive zone starts 57%, so he's obviously trustworthy in the defensive end. And I mean, he has 1 year left at 2.8, but for a cap-strapped team like Boston, especially with the cap being flat, it's a bargain of a deal. And I'm just pulling up some of his stats from JFresh Hockey. If you don't know JFresh, he's a great page on Twitter, posts wonderful stats about players. And his even strength defense was at 91%, which is basically at an elite play.
Mhm.
So for Boston that lost like a couple of top guys, they have a special one in Carlo, and he's definitely get more. He's going to get more minutes this year, and I think he'll break out.
Yeah, solid.
All right. Well, I have got David Krejci, or Krejci, however you say it. He's been on Boston for a while now. Their second line center behind Patrice Bergeron, and pretty much every single year he's done well, but like he's kind of falls under the radar because he plays behind Bergeron, but he's really solid defensively. He usually has more takeaways and giveaways. If not, then it's really close. He's been nominated for the Selke, All-Star team, a lot of things. He's had a really good career so far, and he is coming to the end of it. He's 34. He's on a $7.25 million contract. So he is getting paid a lot, but I think he deserves it, first of all, because he's playing really good offensively. Just this season, he had 43.61 games. That's one of his lower production years. Just last season, he had 73 points in 81 games. So he's obviously shouldering pretty big minutes, 17 to 18 minutes every single year, and he's doing them well for a Boston team that really hasn't gone away for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also have David Krejci, and for a lot of the same reasons. He's been playing at least 17 minutes since his true sophomore year in the NHL, his first complete year. And he's just quietly sitting behind Bergeron. Everyone's always talking about how Bergeron's that great two-way player, how he still manages to put up points, but Krejci's I would say some years Krejci's better than Bergeron. There are a lot of years where Krejci just puts up better numbers, still plays a great two-way game, and I feel like there's a big correlation between Krejci's game and how well the Boston Bruins do in the playoffs. Every year you look at where they've gone or done well in the playoffs. I mean, there's Krejci there, holding down the fort on that second line. I mean, he has been a staple on that second line since I think like 2008 when he's been doing this. He's just a fantastic player, has great sense on the ice, always where he needs to be. And I'd say for a second round pick to come out like that, and I mean at the end of the second round, 63rd overall. It's a great career, a great career.
Yeah, well, I think I have a more controversial pick at underrated, and I have Charlie Coyle. And he's a solid third-line center, something that Boston, hadn't had with, say, Ryan Spooner or Riley Nash. He puts up solid numbers, and on a stacked Boston team, getting, say, 37 points, 70 games this year, I think is really underrated. He plays solid defensively. He has perfectly average stats. Nothing crazy, but nothing subpar. And I just feel like he provides, good stability, good offense. just all around. I feel like he's underrated.
All right. For overrated, the reason why I actually have Charlie Coyle at overrated is just because he's getting paid like over 5 mil as a third line center. I mean, he is decent defensively, but I mean, would you really want to pay a player 5 mil to put up 37 points? Like that's kind of average. He hasn't really hit the 40 or 50 point mark like in like 5 years since like 2016. I mean, he's a great player, but for a team like Boston, I think there's a couple younger options they can go with, like Trent Frederick or GFK. And if I'm them, I'd try to shed that cap hit because they have a couple of RFAs coming up in a few years. McAvoy expires soon. Pasternak, I think, expires in 2 years, and Coyle's locked up for the next 5-6 years at a no movement clause, which is going to be hard to move. So that's why I have Coyle on the list.
Yeah, I see your points, but
Yeah.
I still stand with what I said.
Well, he's really hasn't performed that well since his 2016-2017 season back on Minnesota. So that was a long time ago, and he hasn't been able to. Seriously, like 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, he hasn't been able to. Since 4 or 5 years ago, he hasn't been able to perform that well, and he signed a huge contract, and it probably the worst contract on the Bruins, I would think.
Well, he's been playing behind Bergeron and Krejci, right? You got to think once Bergeron retires, you're gonna have him to be your second line center, and I feel like that's when he'll shine.
I don't know.
Only time will tell, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know because Krejci's only 30. He's gonna, unless they get someone new, he's gonna have to be their first line center, and I find that he's not even close to being good enough to do that. So
I feel like Krejci's got a couple more years in him. He's only 34.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't play like a very heavy hitting game. I feel like he's one of those quiet players who takes care of himself pretty well. I think Krejci's going to be around for the Boston Bruins for I'd say at least another 2 years.
2 years is fair, yeah. But like still, if Bergeron retires, then Krejci's gone. They only have
gives
Coyle
them
left.
Well, that's enough time to find a replacement for Coyle, really.
Yeah, but they need to replace Coyle. That's the big thing. $5 million for 6 years at 30 points, 40 points is not really enough.
I don't know where they're going to move that contract.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, we're going to Buffalo.
Did we not do the overrated?
No.
Oh, crap. Oh, wait, no, no.
You did your overrated.
Uh-huh. Yeah, my bad.
Good job.
Shay, I can't remember, did you have Coyle as your overrated as well?
Yeah.
He was first.
Okay, all right. And then I guess you kind of chimed in with yours there as well, did you?
Yep. That I
Well,
did.
I have my overrated as Matt Grzelcyk.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
I think for the most part, for the kind of player he is, I don't know what deal he's on, but I know it's not a big one. So I think it's a fair deal. However, for the role that he's playing on the Bruins, let's put in this perspective of just the last 2 years, 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020. And let's see, I think it's like 134 games with an average ice time of 18 minutes and 30 seconds. That's more than Patrice Bergeron, by the way.
Well, he's a defenseman.
I know. That's true. He is a defenseman. But I don't see him producing much on the defensive end.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. You don't see him giving a lot of hits. I mean, he gets a couple block shots, and as a defenseman, he's always outclassed by his giveaways more than his takeaways.
Yeah.
I just don't see him. I think he's on the top 6, sometimes like a sometimes top 4 interchangeable player.
Oh, he's gonna be like one of their top defensemen this year. Now that they've lost Krug. So
yeah, Krug, maybe Chara's gone, depending on how he feels or how they want to do it. Who knows how that's going on? Because it's starting to feel like this is the same conversation they had when Tavares was talking with Islanders. Oh yeah, we're talking to him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Chara isn't back in Montreal or Philly. But I just don't. I don't feel like. I know he plays D, and 21 points and 18 points for D-man over the last 2 years. Oh, 1 in every 3 games he gets a point. It's not bad. But I just don't feel like his advanced analytics. I was looking through. If anything, he just doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't match up to what I've seen. And when I've watched him play, he's usually, in my opinion, the guy who gets lucky, but almost gives up a costly mistake, especially when he would play against Washington. I think in the qualifiers,
Mm-hmm.
I would say he was probably one of their worst players.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So for my overrated, I actually have Zdeno Chara, and
He's
my
not on the team, man.
I know, but last season, it's either he comes back on a cheap 1-year deal or goes somewhere else. I still feel like he's going to re-sign there. But
Yeah.
some people still think he's the monster he was in 2012, which I don't get. He's been just mad defensively for the past couple of years. Doesn't really produce that much offensively, which is, understandable considering his age. But like I said, people still think he's a Norris winning or Norris caliber defenseman.
No.
Which I find is stupid.
I mean, yeah, it's been like.
I still don't want to fight him.
I mean, yeah, it's been like 5 years since he hit the 30-point mark, which is a while ago. So yeah, that's pretty fair.
I see Chara as more of a newer, coming up to be the newer, like, even though he's still doing it, Jumbo Joe.
Yeah,
he's probably just gonna keep trying with his team, sign on like probably, minimum contracts, because we all know Jumbo's got plenty of money.
Yeah.
So does Chara.
Yeah.
They're at this point in their careers, they are looking for another ring, or for poor Thornton,
poor
ring.
Guy.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I mean, I think he's like 7th in overall games played, like, or 15th or something
like that. Still doesn't have a cup.
Brutal.
Poor guy.
Yeah, that's horrible.
I mean, you can say the same thing about Marlowe. He could break Gordie Howe's record for games played, and yet he can go out with no cup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which stinks.
Yeah, it's probably all because he wouldn't played for Toronto.
All right, let's go to Buffalo.
I'm starting it early.
All right, let's go to Buffalo now. My pick is Linus Ullmark. And, I mean, this is a Buffalo team that has been bad real bad for a few years. And, I mean, his stats actually have been pretty decent for, let's be honest, a trash team. A .915 save percentage is average. A 2.69 goals against average is decent. But the thing I look at is his quality save percentage. It's at a .56, and basically quality save percentage is the quality of starts, and around 53% is league average, and so the fact that he's above league average on a bad team catches my eye. 17-4-3, solid, actually decent record. His goal save above average is at 5.39, which is pretty average as well. But I mean, you just look at his other advanced analytics. Even strength was a .926, and I mean, goalies have to be really good at even strength. Like, if you allow in a couple goals, your team probably loses the game. So the fact that he's saving around that many shots, 5-on-5, is really good. And I mean, he is their future netminder. I mean, they also have Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who's taken a bit of a while to develop, unlike of the goalies we've seen in the past.
Wow, you nailed the trend. Wow, I definitely couldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, he should get talked a lot more, because I think he's one of the few bright spots on that team. Besides Denleen, besides Jack Eichel, Dylan Cousins, Sam Reinhart. I can see him post. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's only like 26, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still relatively young. And I can see him posting a .920 save percentage next year, because I think he's that good.
I'd have to agree.
It definitely depends on the Buffalo Sabres, but he definitely has shown that he's capable of it, yeah. All right, well, I have Colin Miller. So this guy, he is a defensive beast. He doesn't score that much. He's only scored 11 points in 51 games, which, I mean, isn't horrible still, but, like, you could get more, but still, his big thing for him is his defense, and his expected goals against is 32, which is pretty low actually for um, a team as bad as Buffalo. Compared to his other teammates, it is pretty low. It is still more than his expected goals for, but it is to be expected with how bad Buffalo is. But anyways, usually he has a really good Corsi. Last year, of course, he was on Buffalo, which means it sucks. 56% in Vegas, 56% the year before that in Vegas, in Boston, 60%, and the year before that, 52%. So that is like top of the line, amazing. But the problem is he comes to Buffalo and it ruins all of his stats. And I don't think people realize the fact that this guy is probably their top defensive defenseman. They don't have anyone else. So
Yeah.
and he just gets overlooked a lot. People look at Dahlin, they look at for some reason Ristolainen, and they think they're better. But
No.
yeah, definitely not Ristolainen.
Well,
Miller.
I mean, I wouldn't call them shutdown Ds either.
Yeah, they aren't shut down.
Mhm.
That's the thing. Miller is shutting down the top pair on a garbage team, and he's doing a pretty good job for what he's been given. So
So I have a very interesting underrated for Buffalo. So I was going through the team, and we all know they have great players. You know, they got Dahlin. Ristolainen's an okay player at this point. I feel like he's living up to the expectation of what people see him as. Maybe that contract's looking a little bit iffy.
yeah,
You know, Eichel's a fantastic player. A lot of these players are kind of, in my opinion, after watching them play, because they play Washington a lot. After watching them, you know, played Washington, you know, I feel like they live up to their points live up to the expectation of what I've watched them. You know, they do great for the first 25, 30 games in the season, and then they just, you know, maybe land with like 30 wins on the year. They hurt themselves a lot. I feel like they're a very kind of open, easy to read team, and once you play them once or twice, it's over, and you know how to beat them.
Yeah.
So with my underrated pick, I've decided to select the beautiful chicken parmesan that I had when I was in Buffalo a few years back. Was totally underrated. You think you're going to get good chicken parm in the Manhattan main city where all the Italians live, you know, in that big area. But I'm here to say that Buffalo, when I was there, had a fantastically underrated chicken parm.
Oh my.
You know, I mean,
Wow.
it was so good. I mean, the price and the size, the meat was still very much moist on the inside. Breading was good, wasn't too raw. Underrated. Buffalo has some pretty good chicken parm.
okay, okay.
All right. Great pick. I guess we're going to run now.
Yeah.
Oh, I had this written down, and if you guys, I mean, I'm sure the people who are at least watching this, they see the graphic and they're like chicken parm. They get to me, and now you know why. It's all planned.
Okay.
On a more serious note, I have actually a
That's
surprising pick, Rasmus Dahlin, and I feel like, you know, he's underrated in the sense that people overlook him since he's on Buffalo, and he's, you know, they think he's not as good as he should be, but he's had over a 50 Corsi on Buffalo, literally the worst team in the league for the past, I don't know, 8 years. You know, he can chip in offensively like very well. 40 plus points past 2 seasons. Was gonna eclipse his point total last season, and he's young too. It's only his second season in the league, and I feel like he's, you know, 60, 70 point upside.
Nice.
I mean, I do agree with you that he's an amazing player, but I don't know if he's underrated because I think everyone knows that he's amazing.
No,
I'm scared of him when he plays.
I've seen a lot of people saying that he's trash or that he's horrible or that he's not as good as he's supposed to be.
Never heard that.
I've seen it.
But granted, I live in Georgia, and there's no hockey.
I've never heard it.
Maybe I'm getting my information from somewhere
think
different.
I think whoever friends you're talking to, you need to find some new friends.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a bad influence on you.
Probably, but I'm gonna still stick with that because it's just what I think.
All right,
All right.
Shake.
So overrated. I mean, I kind of hinted this in Quarrel's discussion, but I have Rasmus Ristolainen as my overrated player. Well, so first of all, he gets paid 5.5 to be a garbage defensive player. First of all, I mean, I basically said this every episode. I hate plus minus, but for the last couple of years, he was a -70 combined. You know how trash you have to be a -70 combined in the past 2 years.
I
I mean,
mean, Obi
the
was
team is
-70
garbage. I
for a
know
few
that.
years.
Ovi's different, okay?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah, you
yeah, but
can't.
Owi's
Yeah.
actually like
I
amazing.
love Obi. Okay, this is coming from the Caps fan, but it's not everything. You wouldn't be
and
saying that if he was putting up like 50 goals.
and I just look at his giveaway to takeaways. I mean, 24-17 this year. The last year was 44-23, which is too high. The year before that was actually worse, 47-12. 59-25. So it gets worse actually. His Corsi and Fenwick is terrible, 46 for both. And he's overpaid. And he's supposed to be an offensive defenseman. That's his strong suit. I don't know. 33 points in 69 games is kind of average for me. Not worth $5 million. And yeah, I think Darlene deserves a better partner. I mean,
Yeah.
they have Yokiharu. They probably got another couple guys in the system. But yeah, Ristolainen for me is just a decent second pair guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. He's just a second pair guy, and he's getting paid way too much for playing that position.
Yeah.
So
I
pretty
think he
much,
deserves like a $4 million contract, not 5.
if
a little
if
bit
that,
less.
because Colin Miller is getting paid 3.75. So
It's true.
yeah, so and he's playing so much for them. You know, he's playing 22 minutes this year, 24 last year, 26 the year before. Like this is they treated this guy as their top defenseman, and he is clearly not. So they need to fix it up because Dahlin needs a better partner for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, did you have him as well?
He's talking to you, bro.
No,
me?
well, no, I was talking to you. You normally go second.
Yeah. I did.
You weren't really saying anything.
Yeah.
All right, so Guida's turn.
Okay, so you did have Rasmus Ristolainen then?
I did.
Okay. So I know mine caused a little controversy when we were talking about it beforehand, but my overrated pick is Carter Hutton, and I have a big reason for it. I think Carter Hutton is a perfect goalie if you want to have a guy play backup, maybe take a heavier loaded backup like if he was playing in Washington this year, I think it'd be awesome. I mean, granted, I love having Lundqvist,
Yeah.
but I think this is the perfect kind of goaltender to sit behind Samsonov, because you want Samsonov to play a lot of games this year, but you don't want to play him so many. And I think Hutton's one of those guys you can have carry a heavy load, maybe like 30, 35 games, maybe start about 20, 25 of them if need be. I think he's a good load management goalie. I think he has a place in this league, but he is not a starter, and I think that's how Buffalo have been treating him. And I think they need to keep him, but
Yeah.
I think they
In a
need to be
different
given
role.
Olmark a lot more starts, because I mean, he played great in Nashville. I mean, he played even better in St. Louis in his last year of his contract year. He played in St. Louis, 31 games played, 26 starts, 17 wins, 7 losses. 3 overtime losses, put up a .931 save percentage with a 2.09 goals against average. That is a scream starter. And in reality, if that's what, and they paid him, I think 3 years at 2.750 per year.
Yeah.
In reality, great steal of a deal. And even now, how he's playing, the way he played last year, not looking like a good contract at the moment. I mean, he was under 900. Then again, so was Holtby. Totally different conversation.
Yeah.
But he's just not that player, because his first year in Buffalo, he played 50 games with 48 starts.
Yeah.
Basically went 900 and 3 goals against, and you can't. That's not what you want from your starter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's
Hey,
worth the money, but I just don't think he's the guy that Buffalo thought they were getting.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually, with my overrated, I changed it. Actually, it was originally going to be Sam Reinhart, and then I looked at Rasmus Ristolainen, and I thought, Jesus, this guy is awful.
Oh
You know,
no! I was trying not to go for the obvious ones. You guys don't have to be on the same page about everything.
well, it's clear why we picked him. He's garbage, literally.
And people still think he's good. So
He has no upside. His Corsi, garbage. Fenwick, garbage. You know, he gives away the puck a lot and is just horrible defensively. I don't see any upside. Also, like you mentioned, his contract, what, 5.4 million for, well, it's only another year, but that's brutal.
it is.
It's unbelievable how hockey fans are naive to how bad this guy is because they've seen a couple of mock trades, and I'm not kidding. There's mock trades where Canucks fans are saying, "Oh, we should give up Besser in a first-round pick for Ristolainen, and he's a perfect defenseman for Quinn Hughes."
They've been playing too much NHL 21. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Detroit and um
This dumpster fire.
yeah. But there was one bright spot that I saw from Detroit, and that was Phil Pronik. I believe
really?
this was his second season in the NHL, and on a I should say I don't think trash is the way to describe how bad they were. On a really awful team that got like 38 points. I mean he had a half a point per game, 31 points in 65 games for a young right shot defenseman. I mean, that's pretty half decent if you ask me. And he's only going to keep getting better. And when that team finally grows, you know, and when guys like Raymond come up, when guys like Sider come up, Hronek's going to keep getting better. And he does have 50, 60 point potential. He's a great two-way D man, but, you know, the stats aren't going to say it because he plays on Detroit. But
Mhm.
55% in the defensive zone. He's obviously trustworthy in the defensive end. Um, and you know, for how bad Detroit was, 47% for Fenwick and Corsi. I mean, that's pretty good for how bad they were. So,
Yeah.
you know, he has 1 year left on his rookie deal. He'll probably get paid around $3 million, which I think will be a steal. And once again, I'm gonna say the stats off Jay Fresh. His even strength offense was at an 80, and his defense on a bad Detroit team again was at an 85. So that just goes to show you how underrated he was this year.
Oh,
All right. Well, so first of all, if you don't know, I'm a Leafs fan, so I really should hate this guy. Okay, yeah, whatever. I really should hate this guy, but I just can't. I can't deny that he played so well. Jonathan Bernier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
He
think he's
carried that Detroit team because you know his stats don't look amazing, but
that's because he's on Detroit.
yeah,
He was on Detroit.
is on Detroit, right? In Colorado, when he was playing like a splitting role with back in Colorado, he had a pretty good numbers, 913 save percentage and 285 goals against average. So that's decent. And then before that in Anaheim, 915 as a 250 goals against average. So he's usually like splitting games with the starter, and then the starter takes over in the playoffs. But then he came to Detroit, was forced to start, and I mean, to be fair for what he did, for what he did pretty good. 907 save percentage and a 295 goals against average. We saw Hudden. We saw him be under a 900 save percentage on Buffalo. Detroit's probably worse last year.
Oh yeah.
And he had a 907 and a 295. So
Yeah, I'd totally like to chime in on that because I also have Bernier.
So do I.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, in my opinion, I think Bernier is the unfortunate circumstance of playing for the wrong teams
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I really think Bernier is a solid NHL starting goalie,
Yeah.
in my personal opinion. Because let's be honest, he had a great good time of learning the role in the backup with LA.
Mm-hmm.
And then he played for Toronto.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, 2012 through 2016 was pretty garbage for Toronto.
And
I
he didn't
mean,
even do that bad.
This was a team that had all the offense in the world, but left their goaltenders out to dry,
No,
and are
Guiz.
still leaving their goaltenders out to dry.
Guiz, that was when they were absolutely trash. Not
Still are.
I mean, I'm
Okay,
talking
you're
about the tail end of 2015, 2016. They had, which
they
you can
didn't
see.
they didn't have anyone. They had
They didn't have
Nylander.
anyone. Look, okay,
Nylander.
I'm getting old. Okay. But I mean, I'm just saying, it's just a team that has been. And then he went to Anaheim, a team that was already getting old in 2016, 2017. I mean, what Corey Perry was not scoring anymore. Ryan Kessler was like on his 15th hip replacement. And then he went to Colorado as a good, get a good bounce back, and he had a solid year.
Yeah.
I don't think 2017, 2018 was when Colorado was stepping up to the superpower that they're about to be this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They didn't have, I mean, they had the talent, but they were still, taking the next step. And then he played for Detroit. I think this is the unfortunate circumstance of a true good, playing maybe 50 games a year man for an NHL team, and I think he's just played for the wrong. He's just made really bad contract signings. He needs to fire his agent.
Yeah.
I think he's a solid starter.
Bro, you gonna?
But for my underrated,
I know you had Bernier, but like, you
My
want to chime
reasoning?
in? Yeah.
well, like we said, like he's unfortunate
much.
circumstances. He literally dragged Detroit this season to getting 15 wins. You had the other goalie, forget his name, Howard. He only won 2 games, and I think he had no help from his defense. And overall, I think that he should get out of there and go to a real team.
Wasn't Howard touted as like a top 10 goalie like 5-6
He was
years ago?
he was an all-star like 2
Yeah.
seasons ago, I think.
No,
Yeah.
but for all-star teams, they usually try to get one player from each team, and since Howard was the
Stupid, in my
goalie,
opinion.
I mean, even before that, like it was like like back when it was Jimmy Howard and Peter Mrazek, and they were like that one year where they both like, I think it was like the last year that what's his name was before he went to Toronto or something like that.
what?
The coach, or was he already gone?
The coach?
Babcock?
Babcock, was he still in Toronto when they were both there?
Well, Babcock became the coach in 2015?
Yeah, so
2015.
I think when Mrazek and Jimmy Howard were there, I think that was like the last year that all three of those guys were there at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know Mrazek went to Carolina, and he's been there for a few years now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just I think Jimmy Howard was overrated way long ago, and he's just
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Overrated.
This is the one that's gonna give me some hate and trash on all you want, but I got Dylan Larkin.
Oh.
Ooh.
I mean, here's the thing. He's a good player, but
Obviously.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
But the past couple years, it's just a lack of consistency for me. Rookie year got 45 points solid. Next year after that dropped down to 32. Year after that 63. Got 73 points a year after that, which is outstanding. Don't get me wrong. Then 53 the next year. But the thing for me for Dylan Larkin, I kind of see a trend with all these fast players. You see it in McDavid. You see it in FSCU. You see it in Kapanen. What all these players have in common is that they're fast as hell, but they can't play defense. You can say the same thing about Phil. Phil won the fastest skater competition back in 2015, and yet he's a lazy-ass defensive player.
Kapanen played defense. He was on the penalty kill.
Just because you play on the PK doesn't mean you're a good defensive player.
He was good. He was good at the penalty kill.
Was he?
Yes.
Yeah, Dylan Larkin's a solid PKer.
And so is Larkin.
He's a solid. He plays the PK because Detroit has no one else. You're not going to put in Justin Abdelkader out there to kill off for 2 whole minutes, right?
Do they even play him anymore?
I think they played him for a bit.
Yeah, and 100 giveaways a season ago, for your supposedly best 2-way forward on the team. And this wasn't even this year. This was like the year before that, where Detroit was still kind of like a 75, 80 point team. I mean, 100 giveaways is a hell of a lot. He can prove me wrong, but I mean, for 6 mil for a lack of two-way game, from my point of view, it's not worth it.
That's fair.
All right. Well, it's me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have Valtteri Filppula.
Mm.
Now this guy's
Mhm.
absolute trash, and I don't understand. Like seriously, he's honestly garbage. If you guys want to pull up his hockey reference page and just look at the stats, you'll literally barf. Okay, but
Really?
yeah, you will.
Jesus.
You will. Like I'm not even kidding. But these guys, but Detroit,
Ooh.
but fans still tout him as a good second line center. Like
Let me
what the
grab
hell are you
this.
on? He's a
Who
minus
is it again?
42.
Filppula?
Yeah, Filppula.
Yeah, for the past 4 or 5 seasons, he's been kind of.
Oh my
What?
God! Is that a minus 42?
That's a minus 42. Like I know plus or minus isn't the best stat, but what the hell? And look at his Corsi, 44%.
How do
Yeah,
you go
I'm
from
sorry.
a plus 19 to a minus 42?
well, he was on the Islanders team that year when he got a
Oh
plus
yeah,
19.
then that's
Yeah.
all about keeping the puck out of the net too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
So this guy, he's supposed to be able to score. Only scored 20 points. He's paid $3 million for a 20-point goal scorer. Sorry, 20-point scorer. Absolutely not. He can't play defense. He can't keep the puck. He plays way too much. 16 minutes is too much for this guy. In New York, he was playing 14 minutes, which is about right, maybe if he's paid less.
Hmm.
But no, I don't
Oh, look at that
understand.
shooting percentage.
Yeah.
It's horrible, man. I don't understand how you could ever think this guy is even decent. Like last year, he only had 17. Okay, fine. He had 17 goals in 72 games. You know what his shooting percentage was? Just take a guess.
2.
Mm.
21%. So he was on New
Basically
York.
22. Basically 22%. Yeah.
Exactly. So his best year is because he got hella lucky for and a 21% 22% shooting percentage. This guy is
Yeah.
garbage, and
To be
people
fair,
still
that's
think he's
not his
amazing.
best year. His best year was when he was 27 and he was with Detroit.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right. That was a while ago, bro.
I think he has come to die in Detroit for his career. I think he's
Yeah.
just trying to. I mean, he played a solid first 7, 8 years of his career. I think he's just coming
Played.
home, man.
He played
Whoa.
8 seasons there.
Yeah, 8
Yeah.
seasons.
Well, I
But
don't really
son,
count that first one. It was 4 games.
True.
that
So
is true. Yeah, but still, he played like he's playing like absolute trash, and I still for some reason think he's a good second line center behind Larkin, and he's definitely not. Rest my
He
case.
got
Yeah.
Selke votes in 2008.
Did he?
What?
he also got. Yeah,
Oh
but he
wow,
was only
And
40.
wow,
wow. Okay. Well, anyways,
what a
yeah,
economic downturn for this dude.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, geez, I mean, from a Selke to like minus 42 is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my overrated is actually gonna be, I think, the real reason why people don't like Dylan Larkin, or think he's not overrated, and it is 100% the fault of Anthony Mantha.
Tatanka.
Ooh,
I
the
mean,
tanka.
despite the Tatanka memes in our small community, this guy is hot garbage. I mean, he absolutely, he's like Ovi back in the day, except he doesn't put up points. Except, you know how Ovi would like glide around the defensive zone?
Yep.
He does
Yeah.
that in the offensive and neutral zone as well. This guy doesn't do anything. I mean, it's a wonder how he gets points. I mean, he gets almost 19 minutes on ice, and everything is low. It's like he's not involved in the play at all. He's got 38 points, not bad. You know, I mean, it's not. I mean, for his contract that I think is a little bit low. I think what's he making like?
Was
what's
he
he
injured this
making now?
year?
Let me see.
Yeah, he had 38 points in 43 games.
Okay, yeah, so he
It's
was.
pretty
So
decent.
he was. Oh yeah, it's pretty good actually. I apologize. I thought it said 67. I didn't see that now. But everything else is just I don't know. I think this was his breakout year, because I've seen him in the past and he never hit that. I mean, he's been injury prone, I think, every year except for his 2017-2018 year.
something like that.
60 games, 80 games. There we go. 67, 43 out of like the 62. And I think I don't think he even got to play. He did get to play in the qualifiers, but I don't think he would have been able. I think he would have barely made it back to the playoffs if he he made it back right before the playoffs if COVID hadn't happened.
Yeah.
And he's on I don't know. I don't see. I personally have never liked his play. Whenever I watch him, I just feel like he's just standing there. And that's me personally. And I actually do scream at the TV sometimes, like I used to do when Obi did it. I would always get mad at Obi because I loved him. And I'm like, dude, stop doing people keep yelling at you about not doing. It's pissing me off. I need a reason to yell at these people. Tell them they're wrong. But I don't know. I've just never really liked Anthony Manta's play. He just, to me, it doesn't seem like he does much. I think maybe he had a breakout year this year. That's my fault for reading that as a 62 instead of a 63 instead of a 43. But I don't like his play personally.
All right.
So I actually have Tyler Bertuzzi, and my reasoning for this is that for his entire career he's been subpar defensively. He gives away the puck more than he takes it away. This year he had 25 takeaways versus 57 giveaways. And minus 23, I know plus minus is kind of irrelevant. And although he did score 48 points, I think that's only because Detroit has nobody better to play.
Right.
And I just feel like he's completely overrated by the fans, calling him a top six guy. I think he's a middle six personally,
Yeah.
Third liner. Like, what line did they play him on? Second, first?
They played him with Mantra and
Yeah,
Larkin.
and Larkin.
Yeah, they
So,
played him as a
line one.
top six guy.
Line one.
Yeah. And they had nobody better to play. So I think he's getting his stats up because of that. And I just feel like he doesn't really deserve that.
That's fair.
Fair.
All right. Flo
That's what you said
Rida.
about Tom Wilson.
Flo Rida now. Florida. Underrated. This is a guy that actually got some Selkie votes. Not a lot, but obviously people recognize he's a decent defensive player. And he actually had 20 goals while on the fourth line. And this is no Achari. I mean, he's for a guy that's only making 1.5 mil for a couple more years after this, the fact that he can put up 20 goals and be a solid defensive player, I mean, that's a win-win. And, I mean, the defense in Florida could be a lot better. I mean, you have Keith Yandel, Ekblad, and Strawman, who really isn't good anymore. You have Uyghur, who I really like, which almost actually made my underrated player, by the way. I mean, the fact that the defense isn't as strong, and he played in front of Sergei Bobrovsky, who's just awful this year. The fact that he can be one of the better defensive players on the team while actually producing offensively for a low cap hit, great contract for the player, great contract for the team. 48 Fenway, 48 Corsi, just a bit below average, but I think that has to do with the team. And yeah, I think that he's a really good player.
All right. Well, you talked about Mackenzie Weegar, and I have him as my underrated because this guy's amazing. I don't think anyone understands how good this guy is. He's playing 20 minutes for Florida, so he's shouldering top like almost top pairing minutes. Is he on their top pair?
No.
I think he was on the second pair.
Yeah, second pair. Yeah. And he isn't the best offensively, but I mean he's not horrible either. 18 points in 45 games. That's on pace for it's like 30 points maybe.
35. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his giveaway to takeaway, he's always got more giveaways than takeaways. But you know what?
It's Florida.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he definitely got better this year too. Only 38 to 25 versus 59 to 34 and stuff like that. And he's playing so much more minutes. I'm just looking at his Fenwick too, and it is 53% this year, 53% last year, 53% the year before. His Corsi 51% this year, 52% the year before, and 52% the year before as well. So he has the puck a lot. His team has the puck when he's on the ice a lot. So that's always a sign that he can control it. He can make passes. He knows how to make a good decision. So this guy being paid only around $3 million is a steal for Florida.
Yeah, and he just signed, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Like he's only 26. He's got a lot of hockey left in him. So
All right. For anybody listening, if you haven't guessed, I'm a Caps fan. Well, you should probably pay attention more. So I'm going with the former Cap, who I loved on the team. And I knew as soon as he signed with Florida, I was like, I even said to myself, he's not putting up the numbers he put up the year before, and he didn't. But he's still improving, and I think he's still a fantastic player, and that player is Brett Connolly.
Yeah.
This guy's, in my opinion, I think he's a stud middle six player. You can play, I mean, really middle six player that's through a fit anywhere as long as you put him with, on a scoring line. I think a lot of issues that he's had is he's not been put with like a decent enough talent because he's got a great shot. He really does. I think only one season he had below 2 seasons where he had below a 10 shooting percentage, and most of the time it's up there in the 15, 16 shooting percentage. He's got a fantastic shot. And he can put it in, and he's just so good. Despite the fact that when he was like 25, he looked like he was 33. It confused the hell out of me. I mean, look at him. The dude is balding. I mean, that hairline.
Bad genes. Bad genes.
Yeah, bad genes. But he's a fantastic player. I think he's a little quicker than a lot of people give him credit for, and he does not get a lot of ice time.
Yeah.
I mean, when he was with Washington, first year he played 10 minutes, almost 11 minutes. The second year he played 12. Third year he played 13. He's gotten a little bit more with Florida at 14-30. His point production came down a bit, but it was still more than his second best career year. And I think it's just because he was with Florida.
Yeah.
I think he's a dominant player in the middle six who can easily give you 40 points. He's a 20 goal man. He can get you 40 plus points. I don't know about 50, but he's a definite 20 goal man. And I think he's flirted with it for years. Finally broke through in 2018. This is a great player.
Mm-hmm. So I have Mackenzie Weegar, and I think, like Coral said, he's been super consistent defensively. Like his Corsi has always been either 51, 52. Spenwick has always been 53, and he can chip in offensively too. And I think, as I said earlier, they just signed him to $3.25 million for the next 3-4 years. And I think that's going to be a great contract in the future because I feel like the only way he can go is up, and then he's going to be able to produce offensively. I think maybe 20, 25 points a year for them, which I think is great for a defenseman like him.
Okay. Overrated now, and this is a guy that honestly I love this player a lot.
Totally disagree.
But he took a bit of a downfall this year, and that's Barkov. And once again, I love Barkov a lot. I think he's a great player, but I mean, just this past year just wasn't his best. I mean, just point-wise, every year for the past couple seasons, he was flirting around point per game. Had 78 and 79 in 2017-18. Year after that, 96 and 82, which is unbelievable. This year took a big step back, 62 points in 66 games.
Ooh, so bad.
Horrible.
I mean,
Should retire.
I mean, it's good, but I mean, it's a bit of a step back to his previous years, I'd say. And no, he's obviously has that two-way game that he brings. Last couple of years, top 5 in Selkie, which is good. Actually, last year before that, I had 100 takeaways and 69 giveaways. But this year, this year, it was quite the opposite. This year, the giveaways were actually higher than takeaways, 55-50. The Corsi was around 49 for all, which is including PK and power play, of course. And yeah, I think he'll rebound for sure. But I definitely think this year he struggled a bit, and that's the only reason why I have him at my overrated player. I could have went with Bobrovsky, but
Yeah.
I think everyone knew how trash he was, which is why I didn't really put him. And yeah,
A lot of
Yeah.
us knew how trash he was when he was in Columbus. We just didn't say anything.
He wasn't
yeah,
trash in Columbus. I
He
mean,
wasn't even bad in
He
Columbus. He had a
he
few good years and a few down years, but
he played with that John Tortorella style of play. He was given those saves and wins. I'm just
True.
saying.
right, yeah.
yeah.
You'll
Well,
hear about that in a second. I'll keep my mouth shut.
anyways, I also have Barkov, and Shea pretty much covered it all. I don't have anything else to say.
All right.
All right.
Let's hear it.
So I've never really liked Bobrovsky. It's not the fact that there was a year where he stole the Vezina from Holtby. That's besides the point. Holtby deserved 2 Vezinas, and now he sucks as well. But I feel like he was an average goalie before. Like let me pull up his numbers real quick. I'm still on Barkov because I had to look at whatever you were talking about. Anyway, when he was with Philadelphia, he was he wasn't even that great of a player. I mean, his year before he was in Philly, he was like .899 with a 3.0. Then he gets Tortorella. And what happens? He gets this Tortorella shutdown $40 million offense, not 4 players at $40 million. Just offense to work with him. And it's great. He's just got all these bodies in front. Because I mean, I promise you, if we look up the years of Columbus back then, pull up the individual players and look at the amount of block shots they have, it's gonna blow your mind and your legs are gonna hurt. You'll feel the bruises. I remember watching these games against Columbus because I always like to watch Columbus, not because of the goalie, but just because I love one of my favorite things in the league is block shots.
Right.
I don't like seeing people in pain, but I love putting your body out there for the sake of the game, for the sake of the team.
Sounds more like masochism to me.
I mean, I tore my AC joint playing frisbee. I mean, I laid out for a
Yeesh.
frisbee that landed out of bounds because my foot was an inch out. So mad about that, and tore my AC joint in my shoulder. And I lost 3 degrees of motion.
Rip.
But I did it for the team, man. Even though it was only practice. It
Oh,
wasn't even a
Practice.
tournament. Yeah. But it was worth it because I missed class the next day. But and then as soon as he left that Columbus shutdown team, I mean, what he drops like 13 points in his save percentage. His goals against skyrockets, the worst it's ever been in his whole career. I mean, I know Florida's not like it. I mean, yeah, it's Florida, but it's not like he's playing for Detroit. He's got a contender of a team in Florida. Florida is, no matter what anybody says, Florida is always, these past few years, have been a contender for the playoffs.
For a bubble
Who
team.
has a hot mic? What? Anyway, but I don't know. The Bob is a slob. He's
Wow.
not great.
all right.
Well, the only thing I have to add on that is his contract. And
Yeah,
That
10
was
mil.
terrible.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
also my pick for that only reason. Like what you said, his contract is god awful. It's going till he's like 37 or something, and it's 10 million cap hit.
I thought we'd learned this mistake with Carey Price.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
really.
He's like the second highest paid goalie. He's 32 too. He signed that when he was 31.
Christ.
He's gonna be how is what 6 year deal?
He's a UFA when he's 38.
Jesus
Holy crap.
Christ. He's gonna be retired when he's 36 when they buy him out.
He's definitely getting bought out.
And you know what? Here's the thing I didn't get. They already had Montalban in the system, and the thing is, that same off season they drafted Spencer Knight, so I didn't see why they needed.
They got a
David
great
Bobrovsky.
pool.
I don't
Exactly.
know why they needed Bobrovsky. It didn't make sense to me.
I get it, but I would have got it if they maybe made it a 3-year deal. They did
Yeah.
a 3-year deal because they're a team that's trying to win right now. They've been on that playoff bubble and they're trying to do something with it. They got a good team. They really do. But they got to play that defense. They're not they got that. I mean, John, in my opinion, Barkov is playing almost 90% of the defense on that team.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the forward core is concerned.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know they got Captain Keats. But
Yeah. Another
yeah,
thing.
it's just
And Uyghur.
sure Uyghur too.
Another
And
thing
I,
about that contract is the no movement clause for the
Oh.
first
Oh,
4
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Wow.
And then for the last years, he has a 16-team no trade list.
yikes.
And I doubt he's going to waive that because no.
No team wants him.
Exactly.
And just one more thing about Florida. You know, I expected Bobrovsky to do kind of well because he's playing under Coach Q, who's a really good coach. He coached all those Chicago teams a couple years ago,
hmm
and I think Florida would have been better off with not trading Reimer and just keeping him in
Yeah.
Montembeau,
Jim.
honestly. So yeah, we're gonna end it off here. We've been going for a while, and next episode we will start off with Montreal.
Peace.
All right.